My name is Indy, and this is another thrilling episode of Out of the Trenches, where I sit here in my chair of wisdom and answer your questions about the First World War. Juan Harford says, "Hello, is it possible, can you put this on Out of the Trenches? Were there any huge naval battles in the Mediterranean or any battles fought on smaller islands? If so, were the US Marine Corps and British Commonwealth involved in said battles?" The Allied fleets under French leadership had pretty much confined the Austro-Hungarian Navy into the Adriatic Sea. There were some smaller naval battles at the beginning of the war, like the Battle of Antivari, when an Austrian cruiser and destroyer were intercepted by British and French battleships. Other than that, the war in the Adriatic Sea consisted of many sea raids by both parties, shelling of coastal cities, and the rise of the importance of small torpedo boats. Now, they were really cheap and really agile, and those little boats could rapidly deploy battleship-sinking torpedoes and then just quickly disappear from view. And they were a real threat for all navies involved. Here they experimented with naval airplanes and sonar equipment. Later in the war, the Allies basically trapped the Austrians by deploying a huge net, a huge belt of mines at the mouth of the Adriatic Sea. And pretty much all efforts to break that belt failed. The US Marine Corps only saw action on the Western Front and wasn't used in the Mediterranean or the Italian front. The 332nd Regular Infantry Regiment was, though. During the final battle of Vittorio Veneto, you had an amphibious operation that took Trieste and some fighting on the Piave River. But we will definitely come to that in our regular episodes. Wagner Bua writes, "Hi Indiana. Hi folks. Hi folks. Hi me. You are doing an awesome show, which you know." Wait, I'm gonna read it with the periods. "You are doing an awesome show, which you know." Of course. Gotta read it the way you wrote it. Following question. Fokker built planes for the German Fliegertruppe. Was Fokker exclusively building aircraft for Germany? How did that affect Dutch neutrality? Was there no pressure from the Entente forces on the Dutch government to stop the trade with the German army? Antony Fokker actually studied aircraft manufacturing and engineering in Mainz, Germany. And Germany back then, in 1910, 1911, was pretty much the promised land for engineers and entrepreneurs. Its automobile and machine industry was among the most modern and well-equipped in the world. So studying there gave a man like Fokker a pretty good start. His first plane in 1912, Die Spinne, the Spider, was well recognized among his peers, and even the military became interested in his works. So they began financing his work already before the war. True, he really became wealthy and popular after the war broke out, and the military began buying and ordering new planes pretty much on a daily basis. For his 25th birthday in 1915, he got German citizenship from the German High Command, actually. So you can see how valuable his person became to the German war effort. They wanted to keep him as closely attached to the Reich as possible. The Netherlands didn't intervene or anything, since Fokker's whole livelihood had been in Germany for years and had no affiliation with the Dutch government or the Dutch military. After the war, when the Treaty of Versailles forbade Germany from producing aircraft, Fokker moved back to the Netherlands, and they welcomed him to expand his factories on Dutch soil, so no hard feelings there. Anthony Rocha writes, "I've got two questions. Do you think that if Japan fought on the Western Front, it would have mitigated their failures in the next war? And did Germany ever create a semi-automatic rifle during the war or in the interwar period? Good work on the show, by the way." Okay, we do not do what-ifs because that is a hole with no bottom. There's other history channels and other YouTube channels out there that do what-ifs. You'll have to ask them for your answer about that. Japan did send military advisors to the Western Front, and those military attachés were well informed about the horrible conditions of trench warfare and the mass amounts of casualties it produced. They reported their experiences back home, And Japan, like all countries all over the world, did not want to relive those horrible times. Instead, Japanese commanders hoped to fight a highly mobile war with mechanized infantry, which they did for a long time against the Chinese armies and on their own advances towards Burma and the Philippines. Only on the Pacific Islands, where the Japanese built vast networks of trenches, bunkers, and dugouts against the superior American artillery, we come to see many similarities there from the Great War. Here you often had close combat trench warfare with machine guns, flamethrowers, grenades. Okay, I'll say I can't think of many failures that could have been avoided if a Japanese army had fought en masse on the Western Front, no. But maybe you can write us in the comment section if you think of any, okay? Let us know what you think. For your second question, Germany, as well as weapon manufacturers from all the other nations, had designs in mind for a semi-automatic rifle way before 1914. Most of those designs never saw production. For Germany, you had the Luger rifle 1906 model, which was designed with the Borchardt pistol and its toggle action mechanism in mind. It used a similar spring mechanism for the chamber as that handgun. We don't exactly know why it wasn't mass produced, but its loading mechanism was probably too fragile, but don't quote me on that. The other one was the Mauser M1916. Designed as a self-loading carbine, it used a delayed blowback mechanism, and it could carry a 25-round magazine. Its biggest weakness was, again, the loading mechanism, which was very vulnerable for malfunction. Like the Mondragon, it was issued in small numbers to soldiers in the German Flying Corps, since you had no dirt or mud that would interfere with the mechanism in the air. If you'd like to see an episode we did in association with Othayus at Sea and Arsenal, you can click right here to learn all about German rifles in the First World War. Do not forget to like us on Facebook if you have not already, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.